3 months into living here, surrounded by trees and quiet, so different from the noisy city I grew up in, I still remember those first weeks when everything felt new. The space, the rhythm of the days, the quiet moments I was just beginning to notice. As a child raised by a single, hardworking mother, I found companionship in animals. They were more than just creatures to me, they were friends, almost like silent companions who understood without words. I developed the deep belief that animals are vulnerable, entirely dependent on our choices. We humans have a unique power, the ability to both harm and protect. This connection has always kind of sunk deep within me. In the morning, as I was driving my son to daycare, I saw a deer, a male deer, standing there on the street. I stopped. It was my first time seeing one here after noticing so many of those yellow caution signs with the deer symbol, and there it was, real and right in front of me. I watched it for a while, amazed. There was something about it, something sacred, like it had stepped out of another world just for a moment. Then I drove on, thinking maybe that was the only time I'd see it. An hour later, I came back home. As I was driving in the street I live on, I caught a glimpse of movement. There it was again. This time I saw just its back walking away. I thought about following it just to get a little closer, but I decided not to. And I was right. I didn't have to. Because later on that same day, the deer came to me. I was inside the house when I saw it, standing right there in my garden. Just me and the deer. It didn't run, didn't seem startled. It just looked at me. And in that moment, I felt still, present. It reminded me of Shishigami from Princess Mononoke, this quiet, sacred creature watching and being watched. A few days later at night, suddenly loud sounds filled the air, almost like gunshots. My first thought was, I hope it's not him. I looked up hunting regulations in Washington. Hunting happens in November, the time I heard those sounds, but not in my area. Still, the thought stayed with me. I couldn't do anything except hope he was okay. A few days later again, I was thinking about my next big painting, the first one on my new easel. What would it be? Something tied to my guiding word of the year. Focus? A horse, since easels are linked to the Dutch word for donkey, but I didn't want to paint a donkey. I kept thinking and thinking and thinking. In the bath, while cooking, cleaning, painting smaller works. And then one morning, driving my son again to daycare, I saw a stag sculpture. Looking up, howling into the pink morning sky. That's it! That's it! I said out loud. My son asked, "What, Mama?" And I told him that's exactly what I should be painting. It all seemed to just connect at that moment. The deer, the moment, the presence, the fear of losing him. So I started, choosing the reference, the colors, mixing them, setting up my easel, and then the challenges began. The creative process was a dance of intuition and hesitation. Initially, I felt pure joy, staining the watercolor paper laid flat, which I'm not very used to with using the easel. This easel is amazing. Enjoying the flow, but as layers developed, doubt crept in. Where should I deepen the shadows? How should I capture the stag's fur without losing the paper's inherent beauty? These questions became both a challenge and a meditation. But what helped me was very simple. To be present and take it one at a time. Take one area at a time to paint. First, working on a large easel for the first time, I quickly realized I needed a better setup. A stool, a place to keep my water and palette. Then, the background. my first real large-scale landscape, creating depth, layering colors. It was quite a struggle. And even till now, I don't feel like the landscape quite does it, but at least I did what I can at this stage. And then painting an animal at this scale, I usually paint portraits. Fur was a new challenge. Light, texture, movement, I had to figure it out as I went. I had seen the deer on October 31st. I started painting on December 12th. I finished on December 29th, or at least I thought I did. I left it untouched for a month, unsure. Sometimes I feel a painting needs to be abandoned before you know if it's done. Then one day in late January, an image came to me. The painting, but with 2 gold circles around the deer. By then I had already titled it, "It's My Time." It felt like the deer was saying, "Look at me, I'm here." But also a question, was it being seen through a hunter's scope? The sacredness of it, the vulnerability. I tested the gold circles in Procreate. In watercolor, there's no going back. And that's why I have been hesitating. The painting is still on my easel. It will call me when it's time. Because this moment, this painting, this deer, it's the feelings that I want to remember and keep.